Well, I think the word cement is strong because obviously Kevin Durant's still in his prime and has years to play. If he wins a championship, man, if he won two, I know that's saying a lot, but if he won a championship or two in Brooklyn, that would change this whole narrative that's going around right now. So I'm not going to say cements it. But right now, I do think he made a mistake basketball-wise. Personally, he can go wherever he wants. If he wants to go play in Minnesota, fine. But basketball-wise, he made a mistake. And here's why. He miscalculated. Now, we know he left because he felt he would never get the appreciation, right? The respect for winning in Golden State because that team was so good before he got there. And he wanted to prove he could win elsewhere. However, I believe that as time was going on and as they were winning, they won the two championships, people were moving away from the narrative of KD, how in the world could he make that egregious decision and go to Golden State, a 73-win team, championship team that had beat him in the playoffs? That narrative was fading, and the narrative that was building was KD is awesome. KD is the best player in the world, the two-time finals MVP. He's the best player on that team. That's the narrative that was building. He was getting praised. A lot of people thought he was the best player in the world. A lot of people. And they were saying it. And so I think that would have just continued to build had they kept winning, which I'm sure they would have. All right. And the second thing, the notion that they didn't need him. Now, obviously, they just went out and proved it. However, at the time, 2019, Nick, when they lost in the finals to Toronto without KD, that would have ended the discussion about them not needing KD. Whether it was right or wrong, it would have ended it, and people would have been like, oh, yeah, they clearly need KD, and he comes back and from injury, and if they win it with them, now the whole narrative is shifted, and it's not KD went to a team that didn't need him. It's KD is the best player on a dynastic Warriors team.
I don't know.
And all the stuff being said about Steph, top 10 all time, that would be being said about KD. That he's top 10 all time, and that would have been the discussion.
So I don't know that I agree with you about his last year there, because I think we have to remember what happened leading into the finals. It wasn't just the fight with Draymond. There's the fight with Draymond where Draymond basically says we don't need you. Then first round of the playoffs, were people questioning him? The media was. They asked if Patrick Beverley had figured out the secret sauce. That was the famous I'm Kevin Durant press conference. Then he went out and dropped 50 on Patrick Beverley's head, but I'm sure Beverley was playing great defense. But then what happened? Durant, because I was on this show during it. Durant got hurt in the Houston series. And then they won Game 5 without him and Game 6 without him. Then they went to the Western Conference Finals without Kevin Durant and swept the Blazers. They then, without Kevin Durant, were 1-1 in the finals. And then, I understand, but it's who they had in the Western Conference Finals. They swept them. Then they're 1-1 in the NBA Finals, but Klay misses game 3. And then in Game 6, down 3-2, they have a lead going into the fourth quarter, and then Klay gets hurt. And in the immediacy after that, everyone felt terribly about Durant's injury. But there was also the feeling of, man, if Klay doesn't go down, the Warriors could have won that thing. And by the way, they could have. I don't know if they would have, but they're 1-1. Klay misses Game 3. They're down 3-2, leading in the fourth quarter, and Klay blows his ACL, and they lose the series. So I think KD made the right decision to leave. I don't think he made the right decision in teaming up with Kyrie. I think he's made some bad decisions since leaving. But for Durant, he had to go try to do it outside of that incubator. And this is where I will stand, as Draymond would say, hope you stand on that word. I will stand on the words I said when KD was in Golden State. I want to see you do it elsewhere. I still want that. If he'd have stayed there and they'd have won 7 titles, so instead of being the 13th all-time greatest player on a lot of people's lists, He's the 11th, maybe. I don't know.
Oh, no.
But there would always be a question.
No.
Brew, the idea that if he and Steph would have just stuck together, that they wouldn't have cannibalized each other's legacy the way they cannibalized each other's MVP votes while they were together, I think is a little unrealistic. I think that is what has happened. I think the reason that neither, if we want to go on the greatest of the greats, neither Magic nor Kareem, for most people, are in the GOAT discussion. They're in the 3 and 4, 4 and 5, but they're not in the GOAT discussion. It's because they cannibalized each other a bit. If either one of those guys had the exact resume they have without the other one being alongside them, they would have a strong GOAT argument. Either one of those guys. Magic went to 9 finals, won 5 championships, and didn't have Kareem. And if Kareem went to 10 finals, I think, and won 6 championships, or 8, 9 finals. Yeah, of course.
They needed each other.
But my point
they needed each other.
I agree with you on that. But I think Wiles, I think he made the right decision to leave. He had to try to go do it on his own, just like LeBron made the right decision to leave Miami. He had a different box to check, and KD just hasn't checked it yet.
Don't you think that the feeling inside the building was that Durant was a hired gun and it was still Steph's team, and that's what bothered Durant?
I think that was a big part of it, too. I think, obviously, I think both narratives were bothering Durant. And I understand that. But look, the reason I didn't crush Durant, I was one of the only ones in the national media that didn't crush him when he went to Golden State, was because, and I said this on national television. I said, look, a year from now, when the Warriors win the championship, and Kevin Durant, 2 years, he has 2 championships and 1 or 2 finals MVPs. It's almost a direct quote. People are going to be praising him. And I'm not going to be a hypocrite and sit up here and kill him for making this decision. And then a year from now, Kevin Durant's the greatest thing in the world. Because we saw that with LeBron. Everybody was killing LeBron. Oh, he's a fraud. He's terrible. Soon as he wins it in Miami, he's the greatest again. And so I saw that was going to happen with Durant. And look, Nick, obviously there still were, hints of people saying, do they need him? Did he take the easy way out and all that? But again, I feel like as time went on, people knew he was the best player on the team. The Warriors knew he was the best player on the team. And he was starting to get more and more praise every year. And then the capper, and you're right, Klay being injured was a factor too. But Klay played 5 games in that series and averaged 26 points a game. So for the most part, he was there, and they couldn't win it without Durant. Now, whether they might have had Klay been healthy or not, we don't know. But the fact is they lost, and people would have said, optics would have been they couldn't win it without KD, and here comes KD the next year when he's healthy, and they win it again. So I'm just saying, if he was on the team this year and they won it, you don't think he'd be getting high praise?
Here's what I think.
He'd be getting what Steph's getting?
Praise. There would still be that slight question mark. No, I don't think he'd be getting quite what Steph's getting. But here's the thing for the KD and the Warriors. I've argued that one of the best things to happen to the NBA, but also to the Heat, was not in the way they did it with LeBron melting down, but them losing the first year. Because it made the other 2 championships feel earned. It felt like, it's not going to be so easy. I think because the Warriors, the first year together, go 16-1 in the playoffs. The second year together, they sweep the finals. I think because it was like, okay, this truly is an unbeatable team, that no one was ever going to get the full credit. There was never the true adversity of, it's not that easy. And so because of that, I thought Durant needed to leave. And I supported him in leaving. I just think he chose a bad wingmate.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.